30. Roll call, William Johnston.
Here.
Lynn Colligan.
Here.
Lisa Kreckler.
Here.
Thomas Graffinino.
Here.
Bob DiStefano, Town Attorney. Is he on yet? No. And Phil DiOrio is here. Okay, first order of business is to review and approve the November 17th, 2021 minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then next up is the application for the 23 Grand Avenue CXR Hospitality at the Cheekwood Inn LLC. So they presented last week. We got a letter from the Heights in, I would call it general approval with some caveats. There were some conditions that they requested that we add to any resolution. During the discussion of their request, the attorney for the applicant pointed out that they would not be in support of a condition where no additional structure should be allowed to be constructed on the property. And I would agree with not allowing that be part of the resolution, just because at some point there might be something and it's going to have to come to the ZBA or go to the town or something to get any kind of approval for that. But I do think that there are other conditions that the new basement and the stairwell only be used for storage or access to the storage area in perpetuity. I will say, I don't know how you're going to enforce that. And I suspect that down the road, there might be a pool coming in that spot. We had approved something like that once before years ago.
Right.
And so I could absolutely see that somehow this stairwell could be used to access that area. I don't know that that's a huge deal, but I'm willing to put this in as a condition here if everybody else is. And that there's ample drainage on the property to manage the runoff. I'd agree with that too. And I did see that they did include a couple of dry wells in the stairwell there. But it may be that there's something else, required to handle the runoff in the future. If all of a sudden it's raining and there's a bad runoff problem, I think that that should be in there. And that they stick to the Heights construction and renovation regulations.
Agree.
Just wonder, I'd like to maybe go around the table. Lisa, do you have anything on this?
Yeah, I do. I was thinking of having them add some bushes or shrubbery along the railing there. When I had gone there, it's pretty much open to that whole grassy area there. So to kind of just.
And would you like to see a minimum height on those? Because sometimes you say, oh, we got to put evergreens in, and then somebody puts in 1 foot high stuff.
However, let's see, because it is on that slope. If you look here, you just don't want to be looking at that.
On that side.
Yeah.
And also, see, now you're really not going to see that much that side, but you can see some.
You can see some.
And also, I think that along the front there on the street side, I'd like to see something. So
maybe as high as the railing. I mean,
that can't right. So 4 feet, I think, would be sufficient for that. Does that seem right? Punch, you're more like the landscape guy.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say 4 feet.
You sound a little hesitant.
4 to 5,
Okay.
Just to have
Don't
some
want no
landscaping along.
2 foot plants.
Right.
Yeah, I think 4 is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 4 to 5 foot. They should be evergreens, correct?
No, I'll have to put a fence to keep the deer from eating.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Lisa?
I don't have anything else.
Okay, Lynn?
Just this part in Stella's letter, the no additional structures, we just spoke about it. I had crossed it out and put buildings. Do you not want to include buildings or structures on there?
I'd rather not include anything.
Okay, anything on there?
No.
Okay, no, that's the only thing I had a question about.
No, they'd have to come back to it.
Okay,
Tom, do you have
That's fine.
anything here?
No, the one thing that I am glad that they addressed is the additional wells for runoff.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
that
right,
whole
right.
area there, the way it goes down across Grand Avenue and down Washington, it's vital.
Yeah. So really the only thing, Punch, how about you?
No, everybody said everything I wanted to
Okay.
say.
So the other thing I'd like to say is that there was some discussion of the basement and restricting it to seasonal items. Doesn't matter if it's just seasonal items or, could they put some paper products in there? I mean, I don't know.
if
Just
we
storage.
enforce what is down there, is that like a little bit of minutia to say
Yeah.
what you can store in your storage area?
Yeah.
I
I
think
would
the-
say storage only, no livable quarters or anything,
Ever.
ever.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's stronger
Yes.
if you put that in there.
Yeah. Because the thing of discerning between, well, oh, look, instead of a table, they have a box of paper towels. I don't know.
As long as it's not
As
habitable.
long as it's not.
Yeah, it's not a habit. That's the
Okay.
most important.
Okay.
Use it for storage, whatever they want to store down there.
Okay.
That's up to them.
Okay.
They want to put paper towels down there or,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay. And then, we've really only been talking about the side entry, the stairway there. We haven't spoken about the porch at all. For me, the porch is sort of replacing like with like,
Mhm.
and it fits there and ought to be.
Been there.
Yeah.
So long.
And then there's the basement, and the basement I think we've addressed. And I think a basement will help shore up that building and make it last a much longer time. You can kind of look under it right now. It's like, ooh.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, so does anybody else have anything else for that? Does anybody do we want to ask anybody in the audience, or are we just going to move on?
It's up to you.
Shall we ask anybody or no? We're just going to move on and do our thing. Okay, so we're going to go through the worksheet. All right, number one, whether undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties.
No, they're
No.
putting back the porch and the patio or the front porch that was already there.
It's going to be enhanced,
Enhance, right.
more solid, more
Right.
stable.
And they're gonna clean it up by planting and stuff like that.
Okay. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance.
I would say no. Because
Not
you're gonna
really
be,
on this
they're gonna be bringing that building up to code.
Right. And I do think that, replacing the porch is an important thing.
Yeah,
And I do think that putting a basement is, I don't know what the alternative is, how,
Let the thing crumble.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Uh,
know.
fall down.
Someone had asked if they had thought about putting the entrance behind the.
I
building.
did ask.
Yeah, so I don't know if that would have then not triggered the ZBA or not.
If they didn't put in a stairway, although we still would have had a hearing about the porch. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, that, they didn't want to do that.
Right. So actually, part of it, I guess.
Part of it.
Because
yeah.
so they could have put a
Right.
door on the back side of the building without having a stairway going down to it. You could have accessed it sort of through the grassy knoll there, right? So I'm going to say that's a mixed bag. Whether the requested variance is substantial. I'm going to say in the world of variances, this is a pretty small one. Yes, no, maybe not.
It seems small. I'm just looking for particulars.
Because you're putting the basement underneath the house. You're not going out
Right,
except for the outside cellarway.
right.
So it would be a small one, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I would say it's a small one. So I'm going to say no
Okay.
to whether or not it's substantial. Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood?
No, it will improve them, especially with the drainage.
Right.
Right, and whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Well, I'm going to say yes on this.
Yes.
They had a out-of-control contractor rip the porch off, which I think started the whole process moving forward on this. Right, and then we're going to just talk for a second about what conditions we want to have. Do we want to have screening, vegetative screening, evergreens,
Right.
4 feet tall along the
front and side.
the front and side,
Side.
On the
to
railing.
screen the railing. We're going to have the new basement and below grade stairway only be used for storage, right? And that it will never be habitable.
Living.
Or
Okay.
commercial space, I like that.
Yes.
Habitable or commercial.
Right, I agree with just what they have here.
Yeah.
That there's ample drainage on the property. And that the project should be subject to the heights construction and renovation regulations.
Agreed.
All right, so those are our conditions. Do we have any others that we want to put on there? I mean, some of the obvious ones like dark skies and all that are just going to
Right.
be part of the game because they're going to be renovated.
And they're gonna have to follow the heights construction hours of construction
Right.
operation. and all
Yes,
that, So.
yeah.
Right.
So is everybody satisfied with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on here. Okay, sure. Take a peek at our calendar. We've gotten a proposed calendar, and then I asked everyone if they would just consider moving our work session in February from the 16th to the 9th. Everybody kindly agreed. Does anybody have any other requests or?
Just that one change of from the first to the
Yeah.
15,
15.
yeah. Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the amended calendar?
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so next up, we have correspondence from Matt Sherman concerning the church property on Tuttle Drive. They had received a variance to put an addition on the roadside of the house. And they are going to be coming back in January looking for an extension on that variance. And Matt had wondered if
Time extension.
a time extension, yes. And then Matt had asked, the architect drew up drawings that don't really match what we approved and would require some sort of us either saying, hey, go ahead and do it, or a new hearing. For me, I feel like,
We've never done that, have we?
no.
No.
And but I thought that I owed him the courtesy of just
Sure.
us discussing his request. For me, I feel like if you go through all the trouble to come here and get a variance and get your wetlands approval and do all those things, you should just stick to the plan. And if you want to
Right.
do something else, then I think you have to come back for another go round.
I agree with him.
I agree.
Because the public
Because-
has to weigh in,
Yeah,
right?
because
Right.
if you give one a change like that, everybody will do the same
Right.
thing. If you change your plans, you have to come back.
Right. I mean, if it like, so this is for an area variance, and
Right.
this would require a greater square footage area variance. I don't have the exact numbers, but it is in fact bigger.
Right.
It might be a different situation if they said, you know what, we'd like to shrink the addition.
Right.
That might be something that we would consider. But I just don't think that it's a good idea for us to start allowing people more than they asked for or received during a hearing, a public hearing where the public had an opportunity to weigh in, and then to just, let that go. So if everybody's okay with that, I'm gonna just advise Matt. I don't see him up on the Zoom
He is
call.
there.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so I mean, Matt, well, I don't think that, that if your client wants to get something bigger, I think that they would have to come back and apply for another variance.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely reasonable. So I will, I'll confirm that with them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you.
And then we have a proclamation here for our 10-year chairman and I think 15-year member. Shall I read the proclamation, Christina? Okay. Oh, I'll read it. Whereas Douglas Matz was appointed to the Town of Shelter Island Zoning Board of Appeals on November 18, 2005, and served continuously through October 22nd, 2021. And whereas Doug demonstrated exemplary knowledge and expertise in executing his responsibilities as a member and chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and whereas during Doug's tenure on the Zoning Board of Appeals, the board handled numerous key projects that have and will continue to improve the quality of life in Shelter Island now and in the future. And whereas after more than 15 years of loyal service to the residents of Shelter Island, Doug has chosen to retire from the Zoning Board of Appeals. And whereas it is fitting and proper that Doug is recognized for his dedicated service to the citizens of the town of Shelter Island. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Zoning Board of Appeals of the town of Shelter Island that we officially recognize the contributions of Doug Matz to the Zoning Board of Appeals and the citizens of Shelter Island, and extend our sincerest gratitude for the service that Doug provided to the residents of Shelter Island and for the positive influence he had on the community.
Very nice.
Very nice.
That's great.
All right, so moved, I guess, right? All right, so, and yeah, so maybe we'll do, so we're going to close the meeting here at 7:48. And we're going to go into executive session to discuss some possible litigation.